Welcome to the Heart of New York show. Today I am very excited. I have a special guest on my show today that I just met a little over a week ago at what they call Pastor's Prayer Service Time at Times Square Church in Manhattan. And she is someone that has definitely got a call from God, a purpose that has been growing here for the youth in the metropolitan area. Her name is Rasheedah Omar. She's the founder and CEO of You Have a Purpose Foundation. How's that sound? Welcome to the show, Rasheedah.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see you. I just met you last week, and I said, "Oh my goodness, we got to get your story out there. We have to get your story." It sounds like you got a definite calling from above, that you have a purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You told me that you come from a large family.
Yes.
Okay. So how did that work your way into what you're doing now?
Well, I'm the third oldest of 10 siblings.
10.
10 siblings, but actually, before my parents married, my dad had 5 children from his first marriage. So it's actually a total of 15 of us, but growing up in the home, it was 10 of us. And something my mother, with 10 children, it was always homework time. My mother always really just emphasized how important getting our education was. My mother was from the South. She was from Mississippi. So getting your education was not something that you played with. So for all of us, whether we were in the library or whether we were playing sports, education was something that my mother stressed in the home. So all throughout my upbringing, it was really studying and being prepared for that next step, which is college. So even in preparing this program and having a vision, I want to say it really started with my mom and being in the home and seeing the opportunities that we were able to receive, because we did prepare educationally. When the opportunity came, we were already prepared. So it's so important to prepare early, so that you never know what opportunity may knock at the door. You may never know what may be offered to you. If you are already prepared, when the opportunity comes, you can go right ahead and be able to access it.
You know, what I want you to describe is the moment that you knew God was calling you to start this business.
Peter, I used to work for another college, and I remember the day I walked into work and I knew that it was time for me to go. I remember talking to my boss about it, and he said, "What took you so long?" Quitting my job was that defining moment. And at the time, I was a single mother. And it's like, how do you quit your job? But I knew that God was speaking something to me concerning, I had initially wrote a proposal about college readiness for high school students. Working as a financial aid counselor, I would see a lot of students come into college, not do well academically, and it would put their financial aid at risk. When their financial aid was at risk, they had to come and see me. As the financial aid counselor, I would talk to them about what they needed to do to get off probation, to get their academics back in order. And I saw myself doing this consistently and helping a lot of students. I did it for 7 years, not just preparing their financial aid and finding money any way that we could to get their education paid for. But when the students would fall behind, I mentored a lot of students. And it just appeared to be a gift. So when I wrote a proposal on college readiness, because what I found is that a lot of the students that were coming into the college, they weren't prepared. And they didn't have time to get prepared once they got there. The preparation had to start before they got there. So I wrote a proposal, but it wasn't really something that the college was able to do at the time.
How come?
Funding, finances. And I remember getting this knowledge in my spirit, like, you've come to the end of the road with financial aid. You've gone through as many facets as you possibly could. I was crunching numbers in my sleep. I could do a bill, without even looking at the numbers because I had mastered it through that 7-year period. And I knew God wanted me to do something else to really help young people. And He had started that process with me, mentoring students and talking to them about getting their GPA up. And the one thing that I would always say to students, you have a purpose. You're here for a purpose. And that would always resonate with all of my students. You are here for a purpose. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your life away. Don't come in here and take out all these loans and walk away with debt and have no degree. And when God asked me to quit my job, I didn't know what I was going to do when I quit, but I knew that I was supposed to leave.
So you took a leap of faith here.
Yes.
You quit your job. There's no funding.
Absolutely.
And yet you have this calling from God.
Yes.
Now, did you have any people like saying, hey, Rasheedah, we're with you, we can do it? Or did you have any resistance along the way saying, are you out of your mind?
What?
Are you quitting your job? There's no money and you want to start this thing and there's no funding to it?
I was
tell the people out there,
privileged. I was privileged to have a boss. He was a deacon at the Brooklyn Tabernacle.
Oh, good job.
And we would always talk. And I remember when I first came into him and told him that I was going to be resigning, he said, wow, you're stepping out on faith. He said, watch what God does. He told me he had been waiting for me for a while because he knew that it was time for me to move on. And really, I believe he said to me, God had already prompted him. So by him confirming for me what I already knew, it was still scary, but he confirmed it.
And you were at that time 100% that it was God on the Bullhorn saying, Rasheedah, you have to start this. You were 100% sure you got the calling.
I was 100%. It's when God comes to you and alarms your spirit. It's like you can't do anything else. And I knew that had I stayed another day, everything would have blown up in my face because whenever I'm somewhere that I'm not supposed to be, everything goes wrong. And you know where you're supposed to be when things begin to just flow. And I knew that I had reached that point.
You did.
I knew.
You knew 100%. And then you had the guy from Brooklyn Tabernacle confirm it to you.
Confirm it.
Did anybody else confirm it to you?
At the time, it wasn't very many people. People knew that I had a different call. They knew that it wasn't just financial aid because of how I mentored my students, but they wasn't certain the direction that I was going in.
What kind of resistance did you have?
Actually, I didn't get any resistance. I didn't get any resistance.
Clear sailing along the way. The money, you mean the money was coming in leaps and bounds?
No, it didn't start out like that. I actually shared it with a friend, and we did the paperwork. We set up the organization, and that started the process. Once you do the paperwork, once you get the organization set up, that makes you legitimate, where people can actually do business with you. And once I did that, then it was time to step out. But no, I didn't get much resistance along the way. When I would talk to people, they would click with me right away and connect me.
Wow.
It was instantly.
Wow. I bet you had a lot of people praying for you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What's been the hardest part of this journey?
The hardest part of the journey has been when you put together a proposal. You do all the work.
What do you mean by, tell the people out there, what do you mean by a proposal?
For example, I would look at different schools and I would say, you know what, this is the perfect school to have my program in. And I would put together the proposal. I would be all excited. I would get the appointment with the principal, the chancellor, the president, whoever was in charge. And to do all the work and to know that this is really something that you could do at this particular school, and to pitch it and to hear the "we'll get back to you."
We'll get back to
We'll
you.
get back to you.
Uh-huh.
That was probably the hardest part, because in the beginning I was pitching so much to different schools. I did a lot of grassroots work where you go door to door and you just say, hey, I'm here.
Right.
I have this wonderful program. It's to help your kids prepare for college, your students. And I would share with them my background and where I was coming from the financial aid side, and they would look at it and they would hear it, but it would always come down to funding, whether they could find the funding in their budget or not to
What-
bring the program in their school.
Now, is this any type of school that
I
you go?
visited private schools, public schools. I visited
Mm-hmm.
a variety of different schools.
So what would you say is your biggest accomplishment?
Two.
We know you want to get it. It's a beautiful thing to help these children. I mean, to get ready for college and all. And to, I would assume you mentor them.
We mentor, we do SAT, ACT test prep. I have about 30 workshops on college readiness that deals with leadership, career readiness, just helping them prepare. Scholarships, financial aid. We do a variety of different workshops, then the test prep. One of the biggest accomplishments was getting the partnership with the King's College. I remember being at a conference and someone recommending the King's College. And she says, I'm going to introduce you to the vice president. And I had a 30-minute meeting with the vice president at the King's College, Dr. Thornberry. And within 30 minutes, she said, I'm doing this. And she,
Just like that.
yes,
Not like I'll get back to you.
no,
Not
that
like
wasn't
I'll
I
think
get
about
back.
it.
No, I'm doing this is her exact
Wow.
words.
That's beautiful.
And since 2015, we have hosted our academy at the King's College in the summer. There are no students. They don't have a summer program. So during the summer, they open up their campus. We get to come in and do our program. And she was actually the first one to allow me to do the program.
No kidding.
And it was You Have a Purpose Academy.
So you go in there, and what is it you start, and how do you do this program? What you go in and say, kids, here I am. Who needs help?
High school students.
Right.
We actually started out with middle school, but we ended up with really high school students. In the mornings, we start with mentoring. We use a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. And we go through each of the habits, we break it down, and it's what I found out about each person, we tried to make this program holistic, because each student come to the classroom, they come to the college setting with a variety of different issues. When your academics are impacted, it's because something else is happening in your life. And I found that you could have an A student, but if they were in a relationship that was abusive, it impacted their attendance. They didn't come to school if they were going through something. Students went through breakups, and it impacted their performance. We had students that didn't know how to balance out work schedules. I had a student that was actually working at McDonald's when she should have been in class, and she was failing. And I said, can you coordinate with your boss and let your boss know that you have to be in class, so she can't put you on the schedule at this time. And if you lose your job, don't worry about it. It's McDonald's, So just teaching them, how to have structure in the work, just time management, having certain study habits, And so I use 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens with high school students to really just say, hey, you need structure, you need discipline, you need to put first things first, you need to prioritize. Just teaching them these basic things that would help them in their college education. We started out with that, and we would move into leadership, and they would talk about their goals, their dreams, their paradigms. These are so important because when you walk into a college environment and you don't know who you are or what you're trying to do or what you want to accomplish, and you're just there taking classes, it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to allow something else to take precedence over what's most important. So, starting these classes out with the mentoring group and mentoring them through the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. Then we would start the SAT prep. We would go from math to reading comp. We would do language and then turn around and do essay prep. Also, when we first started out, we would do 3 weeks of SAT prep, and then the next 3 weeks would be ACT, and they would take practice exams, and that would be for about 2 or 3 hours during the day, and then they would have one-on-one tutoring. So following the SAT prep, the mentoring, some of our students are not always all on the same level. Some may have a difficult time with math, someone may have a difficult time with English or essay. So we would pair them with a tutor, and they would spend 1 hour before the session closed out with a tutor.
And then what happens?
Session was over. A lot of our high school students would want to work. So from 9 to 1,
Right.
Monday through Thursday, they would come into this academy.
So the academy, the session would be 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours, and this gets them prepping for college for the SAT.
The SAT, ACT, we did career readiness during the morning sessions as
What's
well.
that?
Just talking about what area you want to study, what major you want to choose, what are you good at. If you don't know, a lot of students go into college and they spend years trying to figure out what they want to major in.
Sure,
They may just take general education classes, but at some point you have to declare a major, or you may declare a major and it's not really what you want to study, and then you end up changing your major along the way. But you may have taken some courses in under that major, and it may not be able to be used for the next major. So you may waste a little time trying to figure out what you actually want to study. So we do career readiness. We bring people in to talk to them about different areas of study, different
beautiful.
careers, to just give them an idea of what they want to study if they haven't figured it out yet.
So it sounds like you go from soup to nuts. You get them in, you counsel them, you encourage them,
Yes,
you direct them,
yes,
you teach them.
yes.
Did I miss anything?
At the end of our course, we do an award ceremony.
Uh-huh.
So it's interesting because a lot of
Like a
parents,
graduation?
a graduation, but we do more of a certificate. But a lot of the parents are only signing their kids up. I call them kids, but they're teenagers. A lot of parents are only signing them up for SAT prep. But when we send that notice out and tell them we're going to have this award ceremony, so many parents are so excited because they got more than what they had planned or even invested in. They got more than what they were believing that their kids were going to get out of the program.
Oh, that's a beautiful
So
thing.
each student comes up and they share a small speech. We help them prepare because it's important to be able to stand before people and to be able to speak and share with them about who you are. And so we would help them to put together their paradigms, their dreams, their goals, where they were interested in going to college, what major they wanted to study.
man.
So they would share all of this. And I remember seeing parents just come to tears because in all of the time that they were in high school, a lot of them never got to do anything like that. So parents would get to see their kids stand up and share and not only walk out with just a more well-rounded person and having them prepared educationally, but really ready for college, really ready for college.
I'm telling you, this is something that should be in all the schools. All the schools. What I'm hearing now and what you're hearing is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I can't see, I just can't see any institution saying no to something as good as this. How long does a course take? Or, from 9 to 1, and how long is that?
We do 6 weeks in the summer.
6 weeks in the summer.
Yes.
Only the summer?
Year round, we do classes, and most of our classes, if they're on the weekends, we do 6 to 8 Saturdays. It just all depends on how the Saturdays fall and how the SAT exams fall.
Okay.
So it could be 6 weeks, it could be 8 weeks, but we usually have our courses coincide with the timing of the actual exam.
Got it. Got it. Now I come to me, the most important part. Okay, because this is where the true wisdom and strength comes from. How do you demonstrate your faith in God and Jesus through this? How do you do it?
Well, I want to say what I've learned about faith is an action. There's, like I said before, there would be so many times where you would get 7 no's before you would get the 1 yes. And I would have to walk it out by faith. I would have to trust God. You know, when you're an entrepreneur and your income is dependent on you going out there and getting work. You're no longer working a 9 to 5 where you know that paycheck is going to be there every 2 weeks. You have to trust God now for your finances like never before, because you know that if the work don't come, you can't pay the bills. So just believing God and watching him show up, that's faith. You know, whenever, I'm just going to be transparent, Peter. Whenever the bills needed to be paid, I knew God would show up with the students that I needed to enroll in my classes. And I will say, I'm a praying person. So I would always be prayerful, but I always understood that it wasn't about me, that the students that God was sending me, he had an agenda for their life. He had a plan for their life. He had a purpose for their life. And I was just the person that they were using. So he was using. So it was almost like God and I came into agreement about what we were going to do. But I would get really serious when I knew that, hey, you know what? I need to make sure that as an entrepreneur, financially, I can be able to sustain this business. So that's where my faith really came in. I had to believe God. I had to seek God. I had to understand how he was moving in my life, because he would connect me to so many different people and connect me to parents. Parents are the number one referral that I have. If a parent comes in and their kids get the scores that they are wanting them to get, or they know what the colleges are asking for. Once that parent gets that score, they become one of my number one advertisers. And these are people that I know God connected me to through faith, because I believe that if he gave me this, he would sustain it. He would do it, and he would help me daily to go out and do whatever I needed to do to continue to grow the business, to continue to help. My number one job is to help these young people and to prepare them. And as long as I understand that by faith, he's going to provide.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something that is absolutely a wonderful thing to hear, because you're bringing that into your work. You got the calling that God planned out for you before the world was even formed, and you got that calling. And you're bringing it to the kids, and you're changing lives. Do you have any way, it's not a religious program, but is there any way you can drop things in your teaching about who the Lord is and all that? Or you're just showing the good works of God?
Sometimes, Peter, you don't even have to bring up the name of Jesus. Students know right away that there is something different about how you work with them, how you share with them, how you give, how you care, how you spend your patience. They know right away that there is something. One of the things that I encountered is, sometimes I would never say anything, but people would always know that there was something different about me. And I love that, because not everybody wants to hear you come and quote scriptures or say I'm this and that. They want to see it in you first. And I've gone many places, and I've never had to advertise my commitment to Christ, my relationship to God. People would always see it, However, I do have the opportunity and did have the opportunity at the King's College because King's College is a Christian college.
Yes.
So when we're there in the summer, with the permission of the parents, we do pray with the students.
Okay.
And sometimes these students are going through. I had a student, he went through a very public breakup on the internet right in the middle of class, and he didn't want to come back because he was embarrassed. And just talking to his mom and encouraging her and saying, let him come here. I will talk to him. I will spend time with him. And she gave me permission to not only talk to him and mentor him, but to pray with him. And he got right back in that class and he kept going.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. We're coming down to the end, and it's been absolutely remarkable. How can you tell people that are interested in this? How can they? We'll have your website up. I know we have your logo. You have a Purpose Foundation and all that. But if someone said, "Oh man, I got to get this. I got to get in touch with you. I have to get this in the get us in this class in the school." How do they do that?
Well, number one, I do a radio show on Tuesday nights on Caribbean Power Gym Radio. So we're always giving out information on scholarships. You can reach me at youhaveapurposefoundation.com. You can reach us through our website, check us out on the radio. I'm not good at social media, so I don't know like the different social media tags, but we're on social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can definitely find us. Google You Have a Purpose Foundation, and you should find us.
There you have it. There you have it. You got it all. It's a beautiful thing what Rasheedah Omar has established, what she's doing for the kids out there, what she's doing, fulfilling her purpose in this life to make it better and encouraging for these students that really go through a lot going through school now. I can only imagine what it's like now, but you're doing a remarkable thing. Please, as the saying is, I beseech thee, you have an interest, get in touch with her. Get this into the schools that need it. You will not be disappointed. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. God bless. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.